Now, the Premier League business is not yet complete. It's been a fascinating season, a tiring season, I think, because for 6 or 7 weeks it was interrupted by the World Cup in the heat of Qatar, and teams and players are looking tired. There's a lot of injuries around as well. However, this weekend has clarified a couple of things. Southampton are now going to play in the Championship next year. They're relegated, and Manchester City seem all but certain to be champions. And to discuss that, and there are other issues, the top 4 in the Premier League, of course, qualify for the Champions League. Arsenal and Man City will be in it. And there are a number of contenders for the other 2 spots: Newcastle, Manchester United, Liverpool and Brighton, indeed. So it's a pleasure to welcome John Giles and Liam Brady to talk about the weekend's football. Liam, I'd start with you because you were at Arsenal's game against Brighton yesterday. It was a remarkable game. Brighton had lost 5-1 at home to Everton last Monday night, and Arsenal, of course, had everything to play for. They looked tired, Liam, and they didn't play very well. They were missing a couple of players, one at the back in particular. What did you make of it, Liam, and what have you made of the outcome, what seems like the outcome, which is that City just have too much experience and class for them?
Well, I agree with that, Eamon. Yeah, I think if you go back 2 or 3 months ago, Arsenal got some very good results when they were up against it. I remember they won late on against Aston Villa, and then they beat Manchester United. They won late on against Bournemouth, and you thought to yourself, well, this is going to go their way, you know. They had a bit of a buffer as regards points, but they have tired, and they have felt the pressure, which I think we all said might happen.
Yes.
They're a young team, and just City have been relentless, haven't they? And they haven't given Arsenal or anybody else a sniff. You know,
no.
They've won all their games in the last 3 months. You know, they've been absolutely excellent. So Arsenal look tired physically and mentally. I think City winning the match before Arsenal kicked off against Brighton wouldn't have helped.
Yes.
And Brighton are a very, very good team. I mean, really, really good. I was really impressed with a number of their players, and they've had a fantastic season.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. John, everything Liam said there, I think we'd agree with. We were talking during the match to each other, and Arsenal did look weary, and lots of teams have, but the pressure they've been under for months now to stay where they were at the top of the league, it's no reflection at all on Mikel Arteta. He's done an outstanding job to get them where he got them. But it's now almost certain that City will do it. And they are, John, aren't they, the best team in the Premier League by some distance?
Yeah, well, they made a great run out of them, but they have the squad to do what needs to be done nowadays with the amount of matches. To be fair to Arsenal, they don't have the squad as City have. Well, nobody has a squad like City have. No. I mean, he rested players the other day in a big match against Everton.
He rested De Bruyne yesterday,
and there's a few more on the bench. So that's what's needed nowadays, Eamon, unfortunately. You know, like if Arsenal can possibly get to that situation, they might need to, or any team, not just Arsenal, any teams to compete with City.
Yeah.
But City were very good at it. I mean, the Everton set out to look like they were going to defend for 90 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And City kept their patience, kept going. And Gundogan, who I'm not always very, very good to, was excellent again, come up with 2 goals and the cross for Haaland to score the header. You know, but I was disappointed with Everton, I must say. They put that lad Mina.
Yeah, Yerry Mina. You mentioned him to me last night, and there's a photograph in the papers this morning of all the bruises and scratches that Haaland has, thanks to Mina's attentions. He thinks he's a bit of a hard man.
Well, I think he is a hard man, but I think he was just put out there to do what he did to Haaland, And I think the referee let him off with an awful lot of stuff. And he just wanted to be kicking, never mind the ball.
Yeah.
But I was disappointed in I like Dyche. I think he's been a good manager. But from the start, Eamon, he set out to play defensively, real defensively.
Yes.
And of course, City kept the ball, and then once he scored, everyone had nothing to come back with, you know.
Yeah.
And they went on. But anyway, they did extremely well. And the Arsenal situation, you know, they were outplayed. But Brighton were absolutely brilliant. And
I thought they were,
terrible result against Liverpool last week.
Yeah, against
manager, Roberto De Serbi, is that his name?
De Serbi, yeah.
God, he hadn't playing him. I mean, I know them favourites than playing out for the back. But playing out for the back the way they did took an awful lot of courage. Obviously, the manager wants them to do that. But really brilliant stuff. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I know Arsenal will be tired in that. But these guys really took advantage of it. Right from the back. I thought they were absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, Liam Dunk, the Arsenal centre-half, is a big, strong lad, typical centre-half, but he's very good feet. And in the whole of the Premier League, throughout the season, he has the most passes delivered, 2,800 passes. But they aren't afraid at all to play in around their own box, to lure the other team in. It's remarkable in the confidence and composure that they show, isn't it?
Yeah, they play out from the back, as you say, starting with the goalkeeper. And as John said, you know, sometimes he give you a bit of heart failure because he's rolling it close to forward players, you know. But he's good. He's good with his feet, and I think that's why De Serbi changed over the goalkeeper. Steele is now in there because he's very good with his feet, and he could also hit the ball like 40 yards to the forwards if Arsenal pressed up too high. The midfield, Eamon, is really, really good. McAllister.
Yes.
Gross was very good. The lad is on loan from Chelsea, Gilmore.
Yes.
Arsenal midfield never got near them. They looked tired. Jorginho never got near it. Xhaka never got near it. And Odegaard, who's played well in the last couple of games, he never got a kick yesterday. They were really good. And McAllister is a super player, a super midfield player. I don't know whether Brighton can hold on to him, but he is really excellent. He handles the ball in tight spaces. He always knows what he's going to do with the ball before it comes to him. And they really did kill Arsenal in the second half. The first half was a bit scrappy. There was lots of stoppages, lots of players going down, saying they were injured and things like that. The first half was a bit of a write-off, but Brighton came out the second half and they were really, really good. And I think De Serbi said in his after-match interview that they played with courage, and they absolutely did, and they absolutely deserved to win.
Yeah, McAllister cost them $8 million. Liverpool is said to be willing to pay 70 or 80 million for him. You know that club well, and the owner. They have a remarkable knack. I mean, Graham Potter, who went on to Chelsea and is now, unfortunately, like a lot of things at Chelsea, he's suffered from stupidity and he's gone. But they have this incredible knack of finding coaches and, it seems, of finding players that no one else knew about. They have an academy system. It's produced Evan Ferguson, who has done really well, although he was absent from the match yesterday, because the way they do play, Liam, it isn't great for a centre-forward who likes the ball delivered early.
No, they don't play a lot of passes in behind them. And they do out in the wide areas. But where Ferguson was operating, no. The manager wants him to come and get the ball to feet and be the top of that triangle to lay things off. And then the ball goes wide. I thought he did really, really well, Ferguson.
Yeah, he's a very good, calm lad.
Yeah, and I saw him up close after the game, and he's a big, big, strong lad. You know, he's going to be a real plus for Ireland in the years to come. Stephen Kenny was there yesterday to watch him playing. So, Caicedo, you're talking about the players they find out. We mentioned McAllister. Caicedo, he was playing right back. Arsenal tried to buy him for 70 million. in the window, and Brighton wouldn't budge. He looks a tremendous player. He played right back yesterday, but he's a brilliant midfield player as well. And the little Japanese guy out wide left, he gave Ben White a really, really hard time. He takes people on, he goes past people, Mitoma. And he came from a team that Tony Bloom is the owner of Brighton. He has a team in Belgium, a very small team, and he seems to bring the players to Belgium, have a look at them there. If they do well, he brings them to the Premier League. They really have gone into their homework to get these players, you know?
Yeah, John, that's an interesting point, isn't it? That the work that you can do without signing checks for 100 million or 80 million, if you do the kind of homework that Brighton as a club do in finding players, there's not many clubs have the stability and the confidence to do that. And Brighton really, traditionally, have been a very small club in English football.
They're the only one that's done it, Eamon.
Yeah.
And apparently they scout in countries that are not like big countries like Germany, and Liam would know more about it than I do, but that's what I read. But what's remarkable, Eamon, and it goes back to their scouting, the amount of players they've sold.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never seen that before. Usually when clubs sell players like that, they don't do well, Eamon. They go down.
Yeah.
These have gone up, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's. I've never seen it before. It's absolutely remarkable to be able to do what they've done. You know, like the way they could play against Arsenal. I know Arsenal were tired of that, as Liam said, but the way Brighton played, you know, like this is after selling. In the last 2 years, Liam would know more than me, and I'll ask him, how many players have they sold, Liam, in the last 2 years?
I think probably 4 or 5, John, you know.
Or more.
Yeah, they sold a lad with the long hair to Chelsea, the left back, you remember?
Yeah.
You know, the one who hasn't done very, very well. We have a player that we bought off from Trossard.
Yes.
He played yesterday, came on as sub. Ben White, our right back, we gave them 50 million for him.
Wow.
So there's 3 I can name straight away,
well,
you know.
The big lad at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Bourne,
that's another one. Yeah, big left-footed. He's playing left back now for them, isn't he? Playing centre back. Yeah,
really good. Yeah.
Let me ask both of you about Manchester City. They are dominant in the Premier League now, beyond question. Liverpool challenged them for a while. Chelsea seemed as if they could challenge them for a while. I've never been Guardiola's greatest fan, but that's neither here nor there, except that I've changed my mind in a big way about his ability to take a player like Jack Grealish as an example and to improve him so much. And other players, John Stones, another player who was labouring for a while at City, dropped him, but he's come back. He's found a role for him. And there is no doubt they've won 5 of the last 6 Premier Leagues, John. And with all due respect to Arteta, who has done a really great job, Arsenal are really a million miles behind them, regardless of what the league table says, which says they're 4 points behind them and City have a game in hand. They really are out on their own in a way that Ferguson's teams were, and for a while Wenger also at Arsenal.
Yeah, well, I think they have spent more than anybody. Well, they have spent more than Chelsea, you know, but they spent a lot of money in doing it. But you don't always spend money and do well, Eamon, as Chelsea have shown, and other clubs over the years. To be fair to Arteta hasn't had the cash to spend like City have. He's done a big job. But as you say, I mean, City would be out on their own now at the moment. They were able to buy Haaland, Eamon.
Yeah.
You know, and they were winning. They were winning anyway. So you know, he's a big, and all the other players. Grealish is coming on. He's better. He didn't start very well at City.
No.
But there again, he was a midfield player really at Villa. Eamon.
Yeah.
You know, and he's playing the left wing. He's getting used. He's playing better now because the players around him are very good. But they were the run in now, or the last 6, 7, 8 matches, whenever it was. When Arsenal were well in front, has been really, really good from City's point of view.
Yep.
Kept their patience, kept going, and I'd say it's almost certain now that they'll win it. But he has the resources, Eamon. But some other people do have the resources and don't make the most of it. I think he's made the most of what he can do at City.
Yeah,
Guardiola.
You probably both saw this, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was at Old Trafford for the first time since he left the club on Saturday, and he managed a club called Molde in Norway. And he offered Haaland to Manchester United when he was coach there for 4 million, but no takers. And I should just add that his buyout clause at Dortmund was 57 million, which is, in context of prices in the game today, cheap. And the wages would have been the issue there. And good luck to him. He's a superb young player. And just before we leave, Dan, and move on, Liam, he really is exciting, isn't he? And he has done amazing work in the Premier League in his first season. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just look at the goals he scored, you know. Yeah. And even his goal yesterday, like the height he jumped, you know, it was way above anybody there, wasn't it? You know, his athleticism is 10 out of 10. His game understanding, I think, is very high as well. He links up well. He's not the most skillful lad, you know. I've watched him, you know, when he came to the Emirates and things like that. And I've watched his games. He's not one of those strikers who's going to get the ball and dribble on his own and go round people and score goals. But if you give him the chances, he's going to finish them. He's absolutely brilliant finisher. You know, he's a beast, isn't he? You know? Yeah. Normally you'll get defenders who are able to handle him. And John mentioned Mina yesterday, where, you know, his strong arm tactics. He couldn't stop him either. You know, so the defenders just can't stop him with their physicality, because this guy will outmuscle all of them, and he's fast as well. I didn't say that, but he's very, very quick. Manchester City, as John said, were a winning outfit before they got him, and he's just taken them to another level, I believe. Yeah, John, we've seen a lot of players, the three of us, over the years, and this man is, in terms of exciting you and doing awesome things at times and scoring, he knows, he's quick. He has that thing Dennis Law had. In the box, he's lightning. He's wonderful, isn't he? He's a great lad. He's a great lad. You know, clearly, yes. Yeah, you can see him with the rest of the lads. He's a real team player. Yeah. And usually goal scorers have a way about them which sometimes is not attractive. Yeah. But he's a really good lad. He gets it done. What's amazing about him, I find, he's he's about, 6'6" or 7. Yeah. But when it comes to certain situations in and around the box, he's like a little fella. Yeah. You know, he has the balance, he has the speed, to do it. You know, a lot of big fellas are good because the ball goes in front of them. They're very quick and they're strong, but they don't have that technique and control of the situation of their bodies and around the ball. And that's what makes him, one of the reasons anyway, that makes him exceptional. Yeah, football intelligence. He sees the space. Yeah, but he has the physique, Eamon. Yeah. Obviously, we can see a big fella, but the balance of a little fella. Yep. Yeah. Very seldom see that, you know. Okay, let's move on to a story you're particularly interested in, John. On Saturday, midday, Leeds played Newcastle. Newcastle, of course, fighting for a top 4 spot, and Leeds fighting to survive in the Premier League. In the end, Leeds got the point, and Sam Allardyce, as we know, Big Sam, has come in to rescue them. He's done a rescue job on a number of occasions with other clubs. He's got 4 games. He's had 4 games to rescue Leeds. They played with a lot more intensity against a Newcastle team that's proved itself to be decent this season. And they were a little bit unlucky not to, they missed a penalty, not to get the 3 points. Yeah, well, there was the intensity was there, Eamon, and I said that was the main issue for Leeds at that match. They didn't give Newcastle, who've been very, very good, as we know, any time on the ball. No. They were into them, and they just got to be a little bit careful. They got Firpo playing at left back, Eamon. Yeah. He got sent off in the end. Yeah, I know. He never goes for the ball, Eamon. He's going to be found out. I think he gave a penalty. He was sent off. But the actual intensity of their play was very good, because Newcastle
and was, as we've seen recently, have been a very, very good team. But it didn't give them any room to play.
No.
You know, that's a good start in the team. You know, anybody they play against, anybody's going to have a very, very difficult time against Leeds, which is a good situation for them. Because the previous match they played, was against City, they didn't have that intensity.
No.
Although it was against City. But Newcastle been good, and they didn't really give them room to play. So it was a plus, that match. The previous week wasn't, but that was a plus for Leeds for in trying to stay up.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to be around Sam if Big Sam keeps them up. Liam, Southampton are gone. West Ham are in the clear. It's really only two from Forest, Everton, Leeds and Leicester. Forest got a great result at Chelsea yesterday, 2-2. God only knows what's happening at Chelsea. But we know that Pochettino is coming to Chelsea, we believe, as manager. We know him from Spurs. He was at Southampton. He's known for developing young players, Liam, but he'll have a hell of a job sorting out the mess he's going to find at Chelsea in terms of the number of players that are there, the number of 70, 80, 100 million players. There's a teenager there that cost 108 million. So he's going to have a lot of work to do in the summer.
He has, but I think he's a very capable guy, Eamon.
Yes.
I think he showed that at Southampton. He showed it especially at Spurs. You know, he'll have been watching the Chelsea games in recent weeks, and he'll be looking at players he likes and he's looking at players that he doesn't like. And I think he's had plenty of those to look at, to be quite honest, because they downed tools a long time ago. You know, you have to question the character of the players, but Pochettino will I'm sure we'll get them going again. But to go back to the relegation battle,
yes.
Eamon, that was a real good point for Forest and a real good point for Leeds. You know, Leeds are going to play West Ham and they're going to play
Spurs, I think, isn't it?
Spurs in the last game of the season, and those two clubs are, you know, not got much to play for. You know, West Ham, as you say, are safe. Spurs have fallen away badly in the league. I don't think they've got an outside ambition to get into Europe, but I think teams are going to overtake them like Brighton and Liverpool. So I think Sam's slightly tipped the scales that Leeds might stay up with that point against Newcastle. That could prove really, really valuable. And Everton look in danger now, Eamon. And I think if Leicester don't get anything from the game tonight, they've got Liverpool tonight, and Liverpool are on a winning run. Yeah. So I'd expect Liverpool to win that. It could be Southampton, Leicester and Everton for me.
Okay. John, Pochettino is a coach you like, I know, on the basis of the way his teams played is Southampton. And also he took Spurs to the final of the Champions League, which, you know, really it was almost inconceivable when you look at the team they have now, some of whom were in that team.
Oh, yeah. The players are there, Eamon.
Yeah.
I think that he's in a good situation in regard to his appointment at Chelsea.
Yes.
Because they're in a desperate situation, Eamon, as we know. And he can make his demands if they want him. I think this is the other managers with, what's our pal, Ted
Bowley, the owner. Yes, he's a billionaire, American billionaire.
Yeah, well, I think Graham Potter didn't have a chance there.
No.
He came in as chief coach or whatever he was. He wasn't in as manager. That wasn't it. So I'd say Pochettino was in a position to make demands that he wanted, because Chelsea are in a dire position, as we know. Yeah. And this fella's been unbelievably bad for Chelsea. So when Pochettino was talking to him, I mean, it wouldn't be like Potter where he was saying, yes, that's okay, because he's an inexperienced guy. Pochettino isn't. And he would know the demands that need to be made. In other words, I'm in charge of the buying and selling. That's a must. But he's in a position to demand that, because Chelsea are in a desperate position. They need somebody in like Pochettino. So I think if he's made the demands and got the demands that he wants, I think he's got a very, very good position to sort it out, Eamon.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, there's going to take a lot of sorting out. They've got so many players, even players, 28 players, 30 players. even the training. How do you do the training? How do you get the dressing room in? He has a big job. It'll take him a few months, in my opinion, to sort out the players that he wants and the players that he doesn't want. But I would be very surprised if he hasn't got the power to do that, considering the situation that Chelsea are in.
Yeah, and he's shown a willingness to. His last club was PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, where, of course, Neymar, he didn't want Neymar. Messi as well. You know, these are players that really are, well, in Neymar's case, just not interested anymore. And he left PSG, and he's been out of work for a year. So it shows that he has the principles, and that if it isn't right, he's not going to get involved in any gimmickry, but he will have a sorting out job to do. Let me just ask both you and Liam, and I'll ask Liam first. Big match for Manchester City on Wednesday night, Liam, against Real Madrid. It was a great match last week. A draw decided by two sensational goals, I have to say. I mean, probably Vinicius Jr. was marginally better than De Bruyne's, but De Bruyne's was pretty good. How do you see it going, Liam?
I'd see Real Madrid giving them a real game, Eamon. You know, if there's anybody going to stop City winning the treble this year, I think it can only be Real Madrid.
Yes.
Now, it'll need one of those performances that we've seen from Modric down through the years. I think he's a very, very important player from Madrid in the Etihad Stadium on Wednesday night. I think he's so important to them, and if he can get playing, like, he can release the guys like Vinicius Jr., like Rodrigo, Benzema. I really think that Madrid could upset the apple cart. A lot of people here think City are unstoppable, but I really like the Madrid team. They've got character. They've been there before, Eamon. They've experienced all the pressure that's going to be on. They've been through it all, and I'm looking forward to another.
Yeah, I think so too. John, Liam picked out Modric there as, we all think, and there is no question that he is one of the great players of the last 10, 15 years, and has got better with age, which is now 37. I didn't think he played well last week against City. I didn't think he influenced the game as much as he can, but I do agree with Liam. Away from home, where you need to keep possession and you need to take the heat out of the game, he could be a vital player. How do you see this game going, John?
I think City will do it, Eamon. And again, Modric, I'm like all of us, I'm a big fan of him. I didn't think he was as influential last week, especially in the second half, as he has been in previous matches. Eamon. Because City have so much of the ball. There's an awful lot of chasing around, probably more chasing around against City from his position than probably any team that he's played against over the last few years, that's for sure. So I'm like you and Liam. I love him. But I just think he got a little bit tired in the second half when City kept the ball as much as they normally do in a match. So I would, if I was putting a few bob on it, I'd put it on City.
Okay, just to note, Liam, they played at Anfield, Madrid. They went 2-0 down, and boy, did they come back and win the match very convincingly. And that sort of is a warning for City, isn't it?
Well, that's what I mean. They have the bottle for it, Eamon, haven't they?
Yes, they do.
They've been there, they've done it, they've got the T-shirt, and particularly players like Modric and Benzema, and Valverde in the middle of the park. They're not going to go to City and be scared. They've got the bottle for it, and I think, obviously, City are a wonderful team. I'm just looking forward to a wonderful match, but I don't think it's a certainty that City, having got the draw on the Bernabeu, are gonna knock Madrid out. I don't think it's a certainty.
No, I agree with that. I'm not saying it's a certainty at all. I just fancy City because I think the Modric situation, and I totally agree with Liam. They've got some terrific players. But I just think that it's time has caught up them a little bit. But I certainly wouldn't be putting a lot of
when
money.
you were talking
City.
about putting money on them, if you were putting money on the football...
I wouldn't be putting a lot. I said there now, Eamon. I wouldn't be putting a lot of money.
No, well,
I didn't say I wasn't putting any money on. I don't put money on it anyway.
I know you don't, exactly. But you helped me a lot, and I have great respect. But I think we all agree with... I think we both agree with Liam. He's put it...
And Eamon, you got to factor in Ancelotti as well, you know.
Yes.
He's the coach, you know.
Yes.
He's a wily old fox, isn't he? You know, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great match.
Well, I say Eamon as well. I'm looking forward to it as well. I think the City...
it should be a great match.
Madrid have been a great team over the years. Modric's been one of my favourite players of all time.
Yeah.
It's just at this particular stage, if I was putting a few bob on it at the moment, it would be City.
I'd love to get a photograph of that. Okay, John and Liam, very grateful to you, I'm sure, and all our listeners are too, for joining us today. Thank you very much indeed to John and Liam.